It's extraordinary.
And the next second, you're going, oh, and you're waking
You're being
up.
wheeled into the recovery.
Can you imagine having to have that every night to get you off?
Just horrifying, isn't it? Horrifying.
I used to go out with an anaesthetist. She was a local girl.
1920.
No, it's a... Yeah.
1930.
No.
1878.
No.
Wow.
Even earlier.
1820.
1844, yes, quite early.
That early?
Although it had been used before that as a recreational drug by, of course, who were the great recreational drug
musicians.
users? No, not... There weren't many rock musicians before the 1840s.
There were, but you just didn't know about it. They were there.
When was Byron alive?
Ah, you're in the right area. We were in the area of romantic
The
poets.
Romantics.
And who was the great opium eater, apart from Thomas de Quincey, of the romantic poets?
I'm going to take a stab at this, Stephen. Pam Ayres.
No. Oh, God, I despair of the country which I live. Can the audience please provide the answer? Casanova?
Was it Shelley?
Samuel Taylor
Coleridge! Of course it
He
was.
wrote Kubla Khan while under the influence of opium.
Yes, did
Famously.
Xanadu,
Did
Kubla Khan.
Stately
Stately
Pleasure,
Pleasure,
Dome
Dome
Decree.
Of course he did.
It's also that great
Measureless
musical
to Man.
with
Yeah.
Olivia Newton-John.
Indeed. And laughing gas, as you can see, was used as a recreational drug, and Coleridge was one of the ones to use it. In fact, he described the dreamy, sedated state. He said, the first time I breathed in the nitrous oxide, I felt a highly pleasurable sensation of warmth over my whole frame. The only motion which I felt inclined to make was that of laughing at those who were looking at me. So there you can see, there's a satirical cartoon.
She
of
doesn't
how
look very willing, though.
the upper
that
class...
lady.
That she, it must be said, is being forced into it. But the others had it and are laughing. She's about to laugh, clearly.
Looks like a giant whoopee cushion, actually.
It does, actually. But
Man
it's
on the left's got tiny chicken legs.
like all lazy cartoonists, he's written laughing gas on it so that you know what's going on.
Is this the inspiration for the scene in Mary Poppins where they float to the ceiling?
Maybe it is. The chapter of the book in Mary Poppins in which they all do rise to the ceiling is called Laughing Gas.
There's a book.
You! And you know who it's written by?
No, I didn't even know there was a book.
P.L. Travers.
Is there?
Yes, she wrote many...
She's Australian.
Yes.
Did she adapt the film? Was it one of those novellas they
No,
put out
she
after
disowned the film completely. In fact, they're making a film at the moment about the relationship between Walt Disney and P.L. Travers. And she absolutely loathed the film, which is crazy, because it's one of the greatest films ever made.
I thought it was super.
It is simply flawless.
Is there in the book?
Expialidocious.
Is there a dark side to Mary Poppins?
Yeah, there is. There's a kind of world of weird creatures and so on, and I don't know what her objection was to it. I thought it was absolutely magnificent.
It is.
So there you go. What would be the best flavour for an exploding sandwich? Tim Vine.
Cheese and ham grenade.
Very good. Very good. Excellent.
They're wrong, then.
It's wrong. Well, I mean, it would explode, obviously.
Sauerkraut and cabbage can make you explode on a different level. Also funny.
In fact, this one would make you explode on that level too. It's in fact a classic English sandwich, as in the importance of being earnest. One of the sandwiches that Aunt Augusta particularly likes. She particularly likes cucumber sandwiches, but this is a very specific species of cucumber. There it is. You see, it's quite spiky.
Exploding cucumber of Panama.
So it's the exploding cucumber, yes. It's the squirting or exploding cucumber. It's a Mediterranean plant. And when touched, it propels its seeds in a sticky mucus at over 60 miles per hour.
You're pointing at Rob.
I'm just saying, when that picture came up, we looked across at each other, we both went, oh, testicles. I mean, it's... Didn't we?
But can we be very clear? I do not propel my seeds in a sticky mucus at 80 miles an hour.
Certainly not up to 30 feet.
No, not. No. Well, on a good day, on a good day.
In my teens.
You can see it's being touched here, and you can see the effect of the operation of it exploding, if you look carefully. Boing! Wow. Yeah, that's... I mean, it's a sexual act. I mean, it is spreading its seed. You can see the seeds flying everywhere. Whoa!
Does it do that to itself?
Well no, it's...
Looks like another bit of it.
Yeah, when it's very, very ripe and it falls, it will do it, but otherwise, when touched, it will also do it. Its actual Linnaean name is Ibalium elaterium, which translates as the squirting squirter. Ibalium as in ballistics it throws out. That's the forceful ejection of its seeds. But the elaterium is the fact that it is a violent purgative, so it's a squirting squirter that gives you the squirt. So, yes, it would make you explode from behind as well. So, in that sense, it's fully explosive. Now, what's the world's longest-running gag? Yes?
Look over there. They look, you're shooting them.
No, it's using a particular joke to displace warfare, actually, and it's been going on since the 13th century in a particular couple of tribes, Mali, in fact. The tribes are called the Traore and the Kone tribes. And what happens is that you have to take a joke from the member of the other tribe who basically accuses you of being a bean-eater, of eating lots of beans, which is an insult. And you have to take that insult, and then you can find another member of the opposing tribe and accuse them of being a bean-eater. And they just hang around calling each other bean-eaters. And that saves them from killing each other. It's not the greatest joke in the world, but it's better than genocide, and it is the longest-running gag, as far as we know, in the world. It's a rather civilised way of sorting things out.
Great idea for a panel show as well.
Yes, absolutely.
You're a bean-eater.
You're a bean-eater.
Alan, you're a bean-eater.
Julia?
Yes.
You're a bean-eater.
Stephen, you are a bean eater.
You're a has-been eater.
Is that where it is?
Yeah, it certainly is. There are, of course, the yo mama jokes as well, which are used in the African-American community. Your mama's so fat that she could usefully have a calorie-controlled diet and regular exercise. They're probably better than that as jokes,
but mums are often used. Like, I remember the first time as an adult I went back to France to visit relatives, and, you know, my cousin driving, angry all the time. Ta mère, your mother, your mother. Yeah, and all that. And it's, you know, mums... So maybe mothers have always been...
Oh, absolutely. In fact, back to Shakespeare, you've got in Titus Andronicus, "Villain, what hast thou done? That which thou canst not undo. Thou hast undone our mother. Villain, I have done thy mother."
Oh.
And all over the world, curses against people's mothers are very, very common.
Sam Kinison does some fantastic...
Yes, dead, sadly.
Yes, yeah. About people shouting things, "Hey!" from the audience. "Yeah, that was the noise of your mother made when I did her last night. You won't recognise her. When I was finished, I shaved her back."
That's a heckler put down, isn't it? He was a furious, furious comedian, wasn't he? So, yes, the Traore and the Kone clans in Mali have been calling each other Mr. Bean, essentially, since the 13th century. What did the world's first jukebox have on offer?
Is it going to be a man in a box and you give him something and he plays for you?
No. Do you know where the word jukebox comes from?
Yes, I've heard this, and I can't remember it. There is a story attached to this, isn't there?
A juke joint was a brothel. It was a Southern American slang for a brothel, probably from the African jug, meaning disorderly or unruly. And
so the popular vehicle, the Nissan Juke, is a Nissan brothel.
I'm afraid so. There you go. And they were called juke houses or juke joints, and like all kinds of places of ill repute and law-breaking, of course, they served all kinds of liquor and offered dancing and, indeed, music and gambling. And then when the first commercially available box that you could put a nickel in and it played a tune, people just called it a jukebox, because they kind of thought it was like making your own private little dance hall or juke joint. And the manufacturers resisted this terribly. They wanted to be called a brothel box, but that's what they became known as. The very first one is you'd actually go into a shop where there was a speaking tube, and you would speak down and say, "I would like the Foxtrot in Blue by the, you know, whoever, Jelly Roll Morton," and the person down the other end would go, "Very good, sir," and he would go off and find it and put it in the record player and attach the speaking tube to the horn of the gramophone, and you would listen that way.
Is that a Wurlitzer?
It's a Rocola.
They are beautiful things, and yet...
Really
course,
lovely objects.
They are beautiful, and yet, of course, whenever you go to someone's house and they have one, they're almost invariably people with no taste. Except for Lee Mack. He has one, and a man with greater taste you will never encounter.
He gets great trouble getting up the stairs as well, doesn't he? Because it weighs like a small car.
Yes, the really old ones weigh an absolute ton.
Well, the very old ones, of course, had the band in there as well.
Well, they're magnificent devices, and now, of course, the kind of things that, like pinball machines that rock stars have in their lonely, drug-infested houses.
Funny you should say Duke refers to brothel because, of course, rock and roll music, rock and roll was slang for
Also
sex.
for jiggy jiggy doo doo.
Yeah, so it's
yes. Jiggy jiggy doo doo.
I don't know.
Jiggy, jiggy, doo-doo!
Yes, jukeboxes were originally brothels in the deep south of America. Now, what's the worst place to be licked by a goat?
Oh,
At your parents' house.
perineum.
Well, the perineum would be unpleasant.
What bizarre set of circumstances would result in you having your perineum well and truly licked by a goat?
A goat rimming is not necessarily a form of anything.
You're squatting,
Yes,
In
this
the
is the
bush.
excuse you give the doctor,
you're
isn't
caught short,
it? Yeah,
out on a country walk,
Yep.
yeah.
and you squat down onto a discarded sandwich. And the passing goat licks it,
This is never going to have a happy ending.
licks it off your perineum.
So has this happened then? Has somebody been licked?
Somewhere in the world, it's happening right now.
Yep.
What he said is not the right answer, I ought to tell you.
So it's not the perineum?
No, it's not.
Is it to do with the tongue because it's so raspy?
It is to do with the
and-
raspiness of the goat's tongue. It was used as a torture.
Oh.
Is that you would tie someone to a tree such that their legs were sticking out.
Oh, not licking the feet.
Bare feet. And
They
you
do
would
that
cover the
with pigs
feet,
too, didn't they?
cover the feet with honey, and the goat would lick it. And at first it would be a pleasant tickling sensation, and then it would rip off layers of skin.
It would have livened up that scene in Goldfinger, wouldn't it, when he's tied down and the laser beam comes into his leg. If he'd said, you know, oh my God, no, not the goat. Mr. Bond, I put some honey onto the underside of your foot. You might call it your soul. Bring in the goat. And he goes, oh, no, not a goat, it's a furry goat, no. Oh, and then he goes, actually, that's quite pleasant. And he says, soon the pleasure will turn to pain, Mr. Bond. And then he said, you expect me to talk? No. I expect you to die.
Well, Franciscus Brunus, who was a late medieval jurist and expert on torture, said in 1502, that I hear this is a very hard torture and totally safe. Tickling was used in the stocks as well. You'd tickle people's feet in the stocks. And in the Han dynasty in China, they used tickling a lot. In the old curiosity shop, I don't know if you've read that.
It's the only Dickens novel I've read.
Oh, well, then you might remember.
Can't remember any of it.
Oh, dear. Well, you
I
might
have
remember...
no memory function whatsoever now.
No, there was little Nell who died. Oscar Wilde said of that, you would have to have a heart of stone to read the death of little Nell without laughing. Because it is Dickens at his most sentimental, unfortunately. But there was a Mr. Jasper Packlemerton. And Jasper Packlemerton apparently killed 14 wives by tickling them to death. And,
With a knife.
Dickens may have got this from an illustrated police news of 1869, where a wife was driven insane by her husband tickling her. She was fooled by her husband into thinking that by being tied to a plank it would help her back, and he then proceeded to tickle her toes until she went mad, which is not nice, to be honest.
It would take a while, I think.
Yeah, it would. It would basically take a while. Now, let's see how your geography is. Lots of points for the right answer, and a measly -10 for a wrong one. So, try and be right. What's the name of the largest mountain in Japan?
Fuji.
Is the right answer. Yes. It's an active volcano, though it hasn't actually erupted for 200 years.
So it's probably about due.
Yeah, it probably is.
Vesuvius is overdue. It's right next to Naples, and it's overdue, and there's no way of predicting when it will erupt.
No.
They told us this when we went to see it on a school trip.
Cheer you up, won't it?
This is the days before health and safety. So they took you up into the crater.
Any minute now, we're expecting it.
It's overdue. We're standing in the crater of it. A party of school children. And to get there, you had to walk across a lava flow that had a sulphur crust. It was about that thick.
Whoa.
And so you walked across it, and there are places where it had fallen through and had just a small fence around it, and underneath was volcanic mire.
Amazing.
And they said to us, walk in pairs and don't jump up and down. That was the safety bridge, and we all gathered